All right. All right. YouTube's live. All right. Boom. There we go. All right. Okay. We're set. Try not to let it get to me. YouTube will be there in a second. 5 TikTokers. It's a start. Hello, TikTokers. Hello, Ash. Jeline. Hey, Jens. Yes, we had a little camera problem on YouTube and it won't let me fix it. I always have to, it makes me create a whole new room. It's very annoying. Anyway, hello all. Hello, TikTokers, YouTubers, Discordians. How are we doing this evening? Today is Wednesday, July 2nd. God, it's July 2nd already. The summer is getting ahead of us. There we go. Here come the TikTokers. Welcome, TikTokers. Hello, Jacob in Ohio. So welcome, guys. Got we don't actually. We do have. I mean, there's a lot of news. There's not a lot of news today. There's important news today. Not a lot of news, but important. So we will We'll talk about the Trump news. We'll talk about the Ukraine news. I did remember my mind. I set everything up well today. I was so proud of myself. I was like ready to launch everything, and then TikTok or YouTube, I should say, got the wrong camera. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Rosie, Larissa, Nicolette. I told Caleb, I don't want to talk about the court case because YouTube might like it. TikTok probably really won't like it. Like the topic of that court case with Sean Diddy, whatever. I will say this as a lawyer, basically, they did not convict him of the worst charges at all. They found him guilty of a very minor charge, transporting a couple people across state boundaries, basically people he was paying for fun. You get my drift? And he transported them across state boundaries. That's what they found him guilty of. They're talking about giving this guy possibly 20 years in prison or something, and the judge won't let him go on bail pending the sentencing. And I'm looking at this going, okay, I've not been following the case, but he isn't guilty of the other charges. How do you keep him in? He's saying, well, the stuff he said during trial was really scary. No, he's guilty of transporting these people across state boundaries that he was paying for fun. Who cares? I mean, literally, who cares, right? That's not a reason you keep somebody in prison pending sentencing. It's just the most ridiculous. The stuff they accused him of, horrific. Guess what? They didn't prove his case. He did not make bail. They're keeping him in prison. The judge is keeping him in prison and says, because I'm afraid of violence. Doesn't matter, Elise. It's irrelevant. History of violence? Guess what? You can't keep me in jail for jaywalking because of a history of violence. No, it doesn't work that way. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get on your case, Elise. But my point is, it doesn't work that way. You can keep him in prison with regards to the charge he's convicted of. You can't keep him in prison because you just don't like the guy. The charge he's convicted of is something so insignificant, it's not even funny. And again, I don't want to, we're talking about the Sean Diddy really quick because the thing just happened. I don't care about the case overall. The stuff he was accused of sounded horrific. The stuff he was actually convicted of is literally nothing, absolutely nothing. And they're trying to keep him in prison pending, they didn't give him bail. But he was convicted of nothing. When I say nothing, I mean, like I said, you got to Google it because TikTok probably doesn't want me getting into the details. He was convicted of transporting people across state lines that he paid for fun, if you know what I mean. People whose job it is to have fun when you pay them. He transported some of them across state lines. That's it. That's what they found him guilty of. I got news for you. There is no way you should be keeping somebody in for bail. You don't give them bail because they transported two fun people across state lines. Doesn't matter who he is. That's the point. Somebody's saying you don't know who he is. Can I put you in jail now without bail because of who you are? Or does it have to actually, because you jaywalked? Well, you jaywalked, but I understand from trial, you're a very bad person. So even though you jaywalked, I'm going to keep you in prison for a couple months while I think of what community service I'm going to give you. Because people say you're even better, not people say, you are a very bad person. We determine in court you're a very bad human being, but you're not guilty. Okay, so what's the problem there? You get my point here. I'm not, this is really weird. It doesn't matter that there's a history of violence. It really doesn't, because that's not the crime. That's not what he's guilty of. He's not guilty of a history of violence. He's not guilty of anything violent at all. Yeah, it's very weird. I find it very weird. Meaning, he sounds like a nasty person. I do not think I like this guy, but I'm a lawyer. And if you're not found guilty of the bad crime, you don't treat them like they committed the bad crime. That's the problem, and they didn't convict him of the bad crime. And that's not allowed. No, these were adults. These were reportedly adults. This is weird. Again, I don't think he's a good guy, so I don't really want to defend him, but I am a lawyer. And if you don't convict somebody of the bad crime, you don't get to hold them in jail. You don't get to deny them bail based on the bad crime. That's the problem here. Yeah, this is very weird. I just think, and I mean, again, you say he's a violent person. Well, by the way, if you say here's a point. Oh, so you say he's a violent person. What exact crimes has he been convicted of violence recently? None, you say. Oh, you mean you actually tried to convict him of crimes of violence and you didn't have any proof, not enough proof. So why should I, the court, believe that he's a violent person? I mean, not a violent person, a criminally violent person. You couldn't convict him? This is very strange. No, I mean, and maybe these are the federal bail guidelines, like Poppy just said. I think it's very creepy. No, and I mean, again, we're talking about the Sean Diddy trial. I did not watch it because I have zero interest in the guy, but I did read up today on the verdict and stuff. And it's very weird. The verdict itself, he was convicted of stupid stuff and they denied him bail, which also seems just incredibly weird to me. Anyway, allergy shot today. Anyway, whatever. I don't care about him. Welcome, guys. We're going to talk about Trump and Ukraine and all the fun stuff. Yeah, Trump will pardon him. I was just going to say, Trump's going to love this conviction. Oh, he was convicted of doing that. Pardon. So welcome, guys. I'm John Aravosis. Here in Washington, D.C., we talk about the latest news. We are not going to talk about the Sean Diddy trial. It did just happen, so I was like, okay, whatever. We'll talk about it. But we are going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about his big bill. We're going to talk about Ukraine. Do make sure as we go on tonight, if you can afford it, maybe give some gifts. The gifts help pay my bills. I do this for a living. So your gifts help keep things going. So I appreciate your help. Trump's big bill. So Callum had asked me about this earlier, and I thought it may not be a bad idea to explain again how legislating works in the Congress. I worked in the United States Senate for the U.S. Senator from Alaska for about 5 years. I was a lawyer. And in general, the way a bill becomes a law, and I won't sing it, is Trump's big legislation, the big tax cuts for the rich, the big budget busting tax cuts, they're going to cost like $3.5 trillion, maybe $5 trillion. It first passes the House of Representatives a few weeks ago. Then it goes to the Senate. The Senate crafts its own version of the bill, totally different, and it passes its version. So now the House passed one version. It's almost like an essay, right? The essay is written one way. The Senate passes another version. The essay is written a different way. The bills contain different, for example, Social Security. I think the House bill has a deduction of maybe $4,000 that old people can take on Social Security. The Senate one, I think, has $5,000. So they might even have similar provisions, but they're different. Well, what happens is the Senate bill just passed the other day. The House one passed a week or two ago, whatever. Now, because the bills are different, you've got to reconcile them. The bills have got to be the same before they go to the president. He only gets one bill. House passed its bill, Senate passed its bill. They're different. Typically, you reconcile them in one of two ways. Either the House and Senate appoint negotiators, and the negotiators get together and they literally go line by line through the bill and say, okay, you wrote this, we wrote this. Are you willing to give in? Okay, I'll give you that one. Okay, but I want the next one. Oh, okay. Senate, you wrote this, House wrote this. Then in this case, we're going to take the Senate language. And you literally go through the bill and you negotiate each line of the bill until you have one unified bill that the 10 senators and 10 House members that are negotiating agree on. Then that entire bill, because now it's a combined bill, a negotiated bill, goes to the House and the Senate, the exact bill. They vote up or down. And if they both vote in favor, it goes to the president. In this case, what they're trying to do is the second option. They're not negotiating in the House necessarily with the Senate. What they're doing is you can also, and again, let me start again. The bill already passed the House. The Senate takes it up, offers a lot of amendments, and writes a different bill. The House is now trying to decide, will they just vote on the Senate bill? Instead of negotiating with the Senate and coming up with a new bill, the House can just pass the Senate bill and then it goes to the president. Frankly, the same way the Senate could have just passed the House bill. If the Senate wanted to, it could have said, you know what? The House has a good bill from a couple of weeks ago. We're just going to pass it. It'll be exactly like that. And it goes straight to the president. So right now, they're trying to negotiate with the members of the Republican members of the House of Representatives who are threatening not to support the bill. They're trying to get them to support the Senate bill. And if enough of them support it, it passes and goes straight to Donald Trump. Make sense? So that's what's being negotiated right now. It's complicated. I sing and dance. I know. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill sitting here on Capitol Hill. I could do that song actually for video. Anyway, the bill is bad. It is going to add at least $3.3 trillion to the debt, possibly as much as $5.3 trillion once you add in the service on the debt, interest costs on it, not because it's adding to the deficit, and then you've got to pay interest on the debt, $5.3 trillion. It's horrific how much this is costing. This is why some of the Republicans are saying, okay, Republicans are the people who supposedly care about deficits. They claim, how could they vote for this? They're also very concerned about Medicaid, like $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts. These are cuts to a program that provides health insurance for poor people, seniors, people with disabilities. They're also cutting Obamacare subsidies that affect me. I was telling you guys I could pay potentially $2,000 to $4,000 more a year for my health insurance because of these guys, what they're doing. I mean, it's outright, whereas rich people are getting everything they want. It's horrific. It's not good. It's not good, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to get the House members to basically agree to vote for the Senate bill. That's what they're doing. Thank you, Succeed. And by the way, before Cigars with Biz leaves us, he is leaving right now, actually. But I'm not the person saying this. The Congressional Budget Office is saying what I'm telling you. The Congressional Budget Office, which is the arm of Congress that is totally independent, they're not Democrat, they're not Republican. They analyze every piece of legislation. They said it's going to cost over $3 trillion. They said, the Congressional Budget Office said that it's going to kick 10 to 12 million people off of their insurance just from Medicaid alone. And then possibly maybe even 17, 18 million people total. That's not me. That's the Congressional Budget Office. Those are the independent, people of certain political parties like to pretend facts don't matter anymore. Right. Well, when you go to independent people like the Congressional Budget Office, the facts do matter because the Congressional Budget Office isn't Democrat or Republican. They're the arm of Congress that does objective analysis. They say the bill is going to add over $3 trillion to the deficit. They say the bill is going to make like 12 million people lose insurance on Medicaid alone. It's true. And by the way, this is why they're having don't even listen to Congressional Budget Office. The reason they're having a hard time getting this passed in the House of Representatives is because Republicans are admitting it's going to kick millions of people off of Medicaid. And guess where a lot of those poor people are? Republican red states. And this is the problem the Republican Party has, especially now under Trump. They've gotten a lot of these like working class, we say blue collar, and not in this kind of blue, but we say blue collar in America. White collar means business class, right? Blue collar means working class, like functionaries, government workers in factories, things like that. A lot of those people voted for Trump. A lot of those people are poor or they're working poor. A lot of those people rely on Medicaid. The Republicans like to cut those programs, but they're programs that increasingly their voters rely on. That gets very interesting. Very interesting. No, this is guys, again, it's like we're going to talk about Elon in a second. It's like the Elon Musk thing. This is what the Republicans promised to do, and it's what they're doing. They've always wanted to cut these programs, and they're doing it. A judge just stopped Trump from ignoring the asylum law. New York Times says a federal judge in Washington ruled on Wednesday that the Trump administration cannot categorically deny entry to people crossing the southern border to claim asylum. So what Trump did was he pretty much tried to put a stop to asylum claims across the border, people who say they're being persecuted. There's an actual definition in the law you have to prove of, it's something like a credible fear or a credible threat to your health or what, I forget the exact language, but you have to prove that you reasonably are afraid, are in fear of your life, basically. And Trump said, nah. And the judge said, can't do that. In a hefty 128-page opinion, the judge said, the court recognizes that the executive branch faces enormous challenges in preventing and deterring unlawful entry into the U.S. and in adjudicating the overwhelming backlog of asylum cases, but neither the Constitution nor the current law governing asylum seekers could be read to grant the president or his delegates authority to adopt an alternative immigration system. Basically saying maybe what Trump is doing is a good thing, maybe, but he doesn't have the power to do it under the Constitution or under the law. So too bad. Trump is threatening to deport. Trump is threatening to deport Elon Musk. This made me laugh a lot today. We needed some fun. We needed some feel-good stories. I laughed. I cried. It became a part of me. So you remember that Elon got into trouble with Trump a couple of weeks ago because he came out opposed to Trump's big bill, saying it because it's cutting alternative energy and electric vehicles and stuff like that. And Elon, being not very bright, somehow didn't think Trump was serious all these years when Trump said he was going to, and Trump did last time around too, when Trump said he was going to cut climate change research and cut funding for alternative energy and solar and wind and everything else and electric vehicles, and that Trump hates electric cars. Somehow Elon didn't get the message that the face-eating tiger likes faces. I'm quite serious. Like, I don't know what, it boggled, thank you, William. It boggled my mind from the beginning. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Peggy. That Elon Musk was okay with Trump when Elon Musk runs an electric car company. Like, how did you not know this guy doesn't like what you do? So Trump's bill cuts all the funding for all the alternatives. It cuts, there was like a $7,500 or $8,000 subsidy for people buying electric vehicles. It's gone. Elon's upset. He says the bill is going to cause millions of people unemployed. It's going to kill millions of jobs. It's going to hurt the economy. And Trump is pissed at him because Elon went public again. Elon is now saying he's going to primary any Republican who votes for the bill, meaning if you vote for the bill, he's going to try to find somebody to run against you, a Republican. And he is going to he's talking about creating a third political party, which of course would hurt the Republicans at this point because Elon basically is a Republican at this point. So very interesting across the board. Well, Trump gets asked yesterday if he would kick Elon out of the country. And Trump says, I don't know. We'll have to look at that. So Trump, being the authoritarian that he is now talking about trying to see if he can take Elon Musk's citizenship away from him. Elon wasn't born here. Really kind of amazing. Just absolutely amazing. I mean, big surprise, but kind of amazing. Ukraine. So Ukraine news, very bad. Donald Trump is cutting weapons to Ukraine. It's pretty horrific what he's doing. Not all, but a lot. Let me recite you this. Among the weapons being paused are 155 millimeter artillery shells. Those are the shells that Ukraine has always been low on. The Russians have a ton. Stinger shoulder-fired missiles, Patriot air defense batteries. Those are what Ukraine needs to stop its cities from being destroyed, all the citizens being killed, the civilians, and Hellfire missiles. The Kremlin today issued a statement basically thanking Donald Trump and welcoming him cutting off aid to Ukraine. Significant. What's going on here is Zelensky did everything Trump asked him to do. Trump wanted the mineral deal. He got the mineral deal. Trump wanted Ukraine to accept an unconditional ceasefire. Ukraine said, we accept an unconditional ceasefire. Literally, the Ukrainians did everything Trump demanded. Trump claimed coming into office, Trump said, I'm going to go to the Ukrainians and the Russians. And if the Ukrainians refuse to sit down and, discuss peace or accept peace, I'm going to cut off their weapons. But if the Russians refuse to accept peace, I'm going to give Ukraine 10 times as many weapons. Ukraine said, okay, we accept peace. Ukraine said, okay, you want minerals? We'll give you the minerals. Russia said no negotiations. Russia's not negotiating. Russia's not doing anything. So what did Trump do? Russia isn't negotiating, and Trump promised to give 10 times more weapons to Ukraine. Instead, Trump is cutting off weapons to Ukraine. Not all of them, but a lot of weapons to Ukraine. After Ukraine did exactly what Donald Trump asked them to do after Donald Trump lied. Donald Trump didn't keep his promise. Thank you, carrot person, Jay. I mean, this is not surprising. I've told you guys before, Donald Trump doesn't actually believe in anything. He believes in himself, the narcissism, the graft. He doesn't, or the grift, he doesn't really believe in anything. He doesn't care about Ukraine. He doesn't really care about Putin, other than Putin's a strong man and he wants Putin to like him. But otherwise, Trump doesn't actually believe in anything. And someone who doesn't believe in anything doesn't really care on what the policy is, right? So if you don't care if Ukraine wins or loses, and you say you're going to help Ukraine, it doesn't really mean you're going to help them because you don't care. So he can change his mind. He changed his mind. He probably talked to Putin. Putin offered him something, hotel, who knows? And he tacoed, exactly what Heather just said. He tacoed out. Trump caved. Trump always chickens out. He did it. This is just like Trump on the tariffs. He chickened out again. I mean, it's horrific. And the Patriot missiles last week, Trump said he was so happy with Ukraine, he was going to go and find them some Patriot missiles. Last week. Today, he changed his mind. Oh, and by the way, do you think Trump even told the Ukrainians this was coming? No, they read about it in Politico magazine here in the States. Do you think Trump told the Europeans he was doing this? No, read about it in Politico. I mean, and the big thing, I mean, I've said this before. You cannot trust anything he says. And this now goes to show it. There is literally nothing this man promises or says, if you are anybody else in the rest of the world, or American as well, that you should trust. The word of the United States means nothing right now. Absolutely nothing. No promise, no treaty, no nothing. And you should plan accordingly. Even these trade deals, just watch with these trade deals. He's gonna broker a trade deal and he's gonna change his mind in a year and try to get more out of you. Look at the Canadian-Mexican one. It's unfair. Well, who do you think negotiated the Mexico-Canadian trade deal? Donald Trump. He's the one that negotiated it. Now he's like, oh, it's so unfair. You negotiated it. Like, I mean, seriously? Right? This is who he is. This is who he is. Let me, what else we got here? It's very upsetting. North Korea is going to send up to 30,000 more troops to aid Russia's war against Ukraine. CNN is reporting, which is very annoying. Jeep. One moment. Actually, mods, I think we may just want to mute that. Let's mute that word for fun for now. Let's do that. Let's just do that. 1 second here. One moment. Because we've got some Russian trolls that I don't know what their thing is. Some Russian trolls that seem to think there's like some cute thing they do. Oops, hold on. I'm going to there we go. There we go. All right. No more Russian trolls. I have power. I have magnificent power. Oh, the finger hurts again. Ow, that finger hurts. Ow. Jeez. So I'm like trying not to use my hand again today. It hurts. And Ukraine reportedly struck an ammunition depot in occupied Donetsk Oblast, hitting a Russian ammunition depot, which is very nice. So that was good. That's it for the news. There is not a ton of news today, guys. I mean, in some important news about Trump cutting not all aid to Ukraine, but some aid to Ukraine. But yeah. So anyway, oh my God. Very, very bad stuff here. Some very bad stuff. Ow. It hurts. Is it legal to hold back weapons that Congress appropriated? Not really. He got impeached for it. So I may have trigger finger. I just had surgery for trigger finger. I mean, you're right, but that's literally why my hand hurts. I just had surgery a week ago. Anyway, Europe has been stepping up. Europe's providing more aid than the Americans. Thank you, Cheryl, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Europe has already been providing more aid than the Americans for a long time now. They surpassed us a while ago. But Europe can only provide so much. We tend to produce more weapons than the Europeans do. So So they're going to do what they can, but I mean, when will we know? We'll know when we know. I mean, sorry, somebody was asking, when will we know when Trump's big bill passes? I mean, it'll be on the news. Well, either if you're American, or maybe you guys too, you can tune in and watch Congress live on TV. It's a little slow, but or just the news. I mean, it could happen any moment, so to speak. It could happen any day. They're trying to get enough Republicans to support it. Democrats are saying no, of course. Thank you, Flower Lady. To get enough Republicans to support it. And I mean, that just happens when it happens. You know what I mean? I mean, there's really no answer. It's like, it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it'll happen when it happens. I think they'll get it. I think Trump will, there is a bit of a cult aspect to it all. Trump will be able to get them to sign on. That's what I thought. She's whining. Hello. What do you want from me? I'm not playing with you right now. It's early. It's 6:30, and this one is already trying to get me to play. Look at this. Look at this. Yes, you. I'm like, we're not playing at 6:30. We don't play at 6:30. 6:30 is my show. Now she's going to try to get more water. That'll be the next thing. I already gave her water, by the way. It's a little early for her to want more water, but that's what's coming next. So anyway, oh, man. Ow, the finger. Oh, my God. I did ice it. I'm going to ice it again after this. I'm trying not to do too much of it today, though, because it was hurting yesterday a lot. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, so bad stuff all around, guys. Hello, Melbourne, Australia. I'm yawning at you. I'm sorry. I did go to bed early last night, too, so I should be feeling a little better. I mean, you can call your representatives. Honestly, there's not much they can do. Republicans control everything. I mean, unless you want, if you've got a Republican, some of the Republicans are not happy about this bill. They're upset about the Medicaid cuts. Doesn't hurt to call them about that. Yeah, Putin and Macron talked by phone. I didn't see too much about it. They talked about Iran. I'm sure they talked about Ukraine. But Ryan says, as a European, if Trump keeps lowering the aid sent, that brings Europe closer to direct conflict with Russia. I don't know about that. I mean, what's the difference? Meaning, what I mean is, it depends what you mean by that. If you mean Europe's giving more weapons and America's giving less, okay, but when America gave more weapons, we weren't in direct conflict with Russia. So why would it be the case if Europe gives more weapons? That is, in fact, the phone number I do recommend calling your Congress folks. But you know what I mean? Like, it depends why you think that's the case. But I'm not necessarily convinced that it'll lead to, more of a risk of conflict. There is nothing in the bill that allows Taco to cancel elections. No. Doesn't mean he won't try, but there's nothing in the bill that says that. No. The dog gets water in portions because she drinks like a fish and has since she was a puppy. If I give her 2 cups of water right now, she will drink 2 cups of water, and then she will be peeing every 10 minutes for the next 10 hours. That's why the dog gets her water apportioned. It's crazy. Literally since she was a puppy. It's what she does. It's annoying, especially here in DC. In Chicago, she'd kind of have it throughout the day. My apartment's small compared to my mom's house, so she always walks by the water bowl and goes, water, and then drinks. In Chicago, she had to be in the kitchen to drink water, so a lot of times she wouldn't drink. Here, it's nonstop. So anyway, don't know anything about Miami canceling what election? I mean, no one's canceling elections in general. No. That's a different thing. So, okay, Ryan, excuse me. Ryan's explaining more, meaning at some point we may not be able to provide many more weapons other than to actually assist them with personnel. Now that's that's interesting, Ryan. Okay, what Ryan's talking about, that's a very interesting point. I've actually made that point. What Ryan is saying is, if the U.S. keeps cutting off Ukraine more and more, Ukraine will start to get more desperate. Okay. Ukraine will, and I mean, I'm going to expand on your point. Ukraine will start to get more desperate. If Ukraine gets more desperate, Ukraine will start doing more desperate things. They will start doing more audacious attacks against Russian leadership, attacks against Russian cities, maybe even some things we don't like, right? Because if you're a desperate country, desperate times, desperate actions, right? That's the first thing. So that gets more dangerous in terms of how Russia responds if Ukraine starts doing some really violent things against Russia, right, in the war. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you're European and you truly are worried, thank you, Karis, for the gift. And who else was that? Was somebody else up there? Cynthia. If you're a European government and you truly believe that the Russians are threatening Europe, that Europe could be next. Thank you, Terry, for the butterflies. That butterfly is so freaking creepy, though. It's pretty, but it looks like a bug is coming up my face. If you're Europe and you really think the Russians are coming for Europe, you might start to get desperate too. You might start to put troops in Ukraine. You might start to say, you know what, we need to put troops in there to stop the Russians from at least moving forward. At least if there's troops in Kyiv. Thank you, Karis. Cool Pharaoh mask. At least if there's troops in Kyiv, for example, the Ukrainian capital, maybe the Russians won't invade because then they'd have to kill French troops and then France or British troops, and then Brits and French would be at war, except Russia might do it anyway. And then you're at war. So yes, it gets a lot more danger. And the irony is, if Europe gets into a war with Russia, America's going to be in that war. So all the MAGA people like Trump who think by cutting off the Ukrainians, they're somehow stopping America from getting into war. It's quite the opposite, I think. They're making war more likely. So that's, I wasn't sure what you meant. That is an interesting argument. Yes, Ryan, I agree. And I don't disagree with you either. Yeah. What else, guys? What else? Guys, I got to bed early last night. I shouldn't be tired today. Oh, thank you, Blue, for the bounce speakers. What else? Well, because it's something I've been thinking of too, and it's sort of interesting, like from the Ukraine perspective, using terrorism. Well, that gets a lot more likely if Ukraine's in real danger of losing their country. It's like Israel using its nuclear weapons. They're not going to use it if the country's safe. If Israel were in danger of losing, a city or something, then they're going to use it. Then they're going to use them. Yeah. And same thing for Ukraine. They don't have nukes anymore. Thank you, Addie. Thank you, Jess. Blue. But they could use terrorism. They could use a lot of other things. Oh, God, I'm sorry. They could do acts of terror. They could do lots of other things. What else, guys? Retaliation from actually, there was an interesting story about Iran today that Iran was looking at potentially closing down the Strait of Hormuz, which was interesting, about shutting down the strait where 20% of the world's oil goes through. Hello, dog. What do you want me to do? It's the wrong time. Stop it. No, now you guys can see. There she is. She's like right there. I know. That shake was her giving up, and then she shook. Then she shook it off like, okay, fine, whatever. God. Oh, my God. She's too funny. Oop, adjust this a little bit. There we go. Anyway, the world does need Ukraine. They do, because what you've got is a situation where the Russians are going to go after Europe next. My take on people moving to Canada, claiming themselves as refugees. Well, they're not refugees. I don't necessarily, you want to move to Canada, go for it. But you're not a refugee if you go to Canada. Not really. You're not in any danger here. I mean, we're in danger of losing our country, but you're not really in danger. It's a little bit different. That would upset Saudi Arabia. Saudi does have pipelines and stuff, Manny. Manny was saying if they shut down the Strait of Hormuz, the Saudis have pipelines that some of the other countries would use. We went through this list the other day. It's like Kuwait, Iraq, like UAE, Dubai. I'm forgetting sort of who else. Gee, more water? What a surprise. Oh, no, not more water. Liar. She's making water sounds, but she's looking at the counter where I give her treats. So bad. So bad. So bad. Is it possible we get this administration out in 3.5 years? Yeah. 3.5 years, maybe. But other than that, no, I don't think so. Why do I think Russia's going after Europe? Because Putin wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union. Putin is not happy that they lost Ukraine. He's not happy that they lost Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. At the very least, Ukraine's bad enough, but Ukraine, isn't part of NATO. He wants Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia back too. The Russians do. They want part of Poland. They certainly want to try to get the Suwalki Gap, the little piece of land that connects basically them to Kaliningrad. You're dealing with an expansionist, hegemonic dictator. The Russians want more land. If they get Ukraine, it's teaching them the lesson that A, you can get the land, it'll cost you, and B, it'll only cost you for a few years because then the U.S. will get bored. especially if Donald Trump is president. So, yeah. I don't know how many Republicans are against the bill right now. Obviously, more than they can afford, Keep in mind, the Republicans do not have a very big majority in the House. So that's why they can't. How many can they afford to lose? What's the latest count? Is it 4 or 5? I don't know what the number is that they can afford to lose. Are we going to be okay? Not clear. I mean, it's probably 3 or 4. Yeah, it's a small number. We have a consensus on 3. It might be. Yeah. The biggest effect the bill will have on us depends. If you're on Medicaid, you could be screwed to some degree. Not necessarily, but you could be. If you're on Obamacare and you get subsidies, you probably will. You very well may be paying a couple $1,000s more for your health care. Maybe, if you're on Obamacare. I'm sort of planning on that. I'm not very happy about it. The larger problem is adding to the deficit, possible inflation. I'm trying to think of in terms of affecting people directly. Your taxes are not going to get cut much. Most of us, rich people, will see their taxes cut. The bill does not affect Medicare. No. Yeah, unless you're in Alaska. Exactly. She got her own little cutout in Alaska. Yeah, the bill does not have anything. That's a conspiracy theory about it affecting elections. I did not see the jobs report today. Was it not good? I did see there's an impact on nursing homes. I didn't see, was it cutting the amount that's like the price they pay for nursing homes, the payment? There was something I read today about nursing home, or yesterday actually, it was nursing home impact. So 33,000 jobs lost today. That was the new jobs report. Yikes. I didn't hear that. Wow. I didn't see that poll, WC. I can look. Let me see first. CNN. I'll try it up. Let's see. Oops, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? I'm not seeing some new CNN poll. No, there is no. Hold on. I'm not seeing. No, there is no new CNN poll that I can. Maybe there is, but not one that I can pull up. No. There's nothing there. Maybe somebody's talking. I mean, there's nothing CNN poll Palestine. That's not even close, unless you mean Gaza. But there's absolutely nothing. Palestinians, maybe. Because you got to pick your words carefully. God damn it. CNN poll Palestinians. Let's try that. News. There's no poll. I mean, there might be, but there's nothing in the news. Nope. Nothing in the news. So, sorry. It was on YouTube or Young Turks. Doesn't really mean it's, I don't know what Live with Brooke means. Oh, you mean CNN Brooke, as in Brooke, what's her name? Interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised there's nothing YouTube. Yeah, I don't know what that means. YouTube. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. And who wants to go harvest some crops? Woo! Exactly. The CNN YouTube got you. Yeah, they didn't do an article on it though, so I don't know. That's interesting, but hard to comment on it without seeing it. Tons of nursing home patients are on Medicaid. It said 25% could close. Wow. Oh, another thing they're doing is, by the way, here's just the obnoxious stuff they're doing. I'm on Obamacare. Okay. I get it. It's my insurance because I'm self-employed. My insurance renews every year on its own. The Republican bill makes it so that my insurance will cancel on its own every year. That's the default now. So every year I've got to call them up and renew, or go and renew my insurance every year. Otherwise it cancels on me. They changed the law to do that. That's the kind of gratuitously nasty stuff they're doing, right? Like, why should people have to call every year and say, please keep my insurance? They're trying to make us lose our insurance. That was one thing I read today. I was like, are you kidding me? They're just trying to get people to, lose their insurance. It's just obnoxious. It's just incredibly obnoxious. Yeah. But I was like, seriously? I've got to call them every year and renew? I mean, It's ridiculous. Yeah, but the point isn't what you do or don't do with your employer. The point is currently my insurance renews automatically. And now they're changing it. So I've got to remember. And by the way, your employer tells you, I don't have an employer. If you're on Obamacare, most of us on Obamacare don't have employers. There's no one to call me and say, hey, the whole office is renewing their insurance. No, you've got to look out for an email or you lose your insurance. That's what's obnoxious about this. It's so obnoxious. I mean, it just, right. If you drop, well, the price won't necessarily go up. No, you just won't be able to get insurance. The one good thing about Obamacare did a lot of really good things. Again, Republicans hate it, but oh well. One of the things Obamacare did is it said that there's like 4 kinds of insurance you can get. It depends on the state. In Washington, D.C., there's like 4 levels of insurance you can get. You pick if you want a PPO, you pick if you want a managed care, whatever the hell it's called, those HMOs or whatever. But the more general point is there's like 4 levels of insurance. You pick which one you want, right? More expensive, less expensive. Everybody 53 years old will pay the same for this insurance. Everybody 62 years old will pay the same for this insurance. You pay the same based on the state you live in and your age, and that's it. The state and your age and which plan you pick set the price. So everyone who picks that plan in your state, who's your age, will pay the same price. Doesn't matter how sick you are, doesn't matter how well you are. Now, if you were to drop off insurance and you lose your window and you have to buy it again next year, when you buy it again next year, you will pay the same price everybody your age will pay in that state. That's the good thing. Previously, and the Europeans always die when they hear this, previously, they would make you pay more if you had pre-existing conditions. I'm talking things like a friend of mine before Obamacare was working in the U.S. Senate. He was working on his own, actually, in the 1990s here in Washington. Had some floaters in his eye and basically had like a blood clot or something because he saw little like snowflakes. And I was like, you need to get to the doctor. Went to the doctor. It was, he had like a blood clot, but fortunately with blood thinners, he was fine. His eyes were saved. He goes and he moves from Washington to Arizona, gets to Arizona. And they tell him, well, we know your health insurance was $400 in Washington. We're going to charge you $1,200 a month in Arizona because of that stuff with your eye. And fortunately, he was like, screw you. I'm keeping my residency in DC. So he was able to keep his DC insurance. But when you changed plans, which often means when you change states, you do change because in America, it's a state-based system. When you change states, they would look at you new and go, okay, how healthy are you? We're going to decide how much, if you have any ailments, we're going to charge you more. And if you have any ailments, we might just not accept you at all. We might just say, I had a friend who was 33 years old, school teacher, but a part-time school teacher. So he didn't get insurance with work. And he showed me the letter at the time. I wish I could remember the details, but the letter was a denial from one of the big insurance companies. And the letter said, we are denying your coverage because of your pre-existing conditions. His pre-existing conditions, I'm forgetting the exact 3, but I remember the gravity of them. His pre-existing conditions were things like high cholesterol was one, eczema was another one, right? Eczema, his skin itched, high cholesterol. And the third one might have been allergies. It was something else incredibly stupid. And they denied him insurance as a 33-year-old man because of these 3 illnesses that are like, who doesn't have high cholesterol, eczema, and like I said, whatever the other stupid allergies. They said literally they weren't going to cover him. Totally healthy 33-year-old guy. And this is what would happen in America. Being a woman was in fact a pre-existing condition, Mel. That is correct. Women would get charged more for insurance. Because they said women just cost more. So they would charge women more. They considered women a pre-existing condition. Women, when they wanted to get pregnant, or couples, but women, when they wanted to get pregnant, would have to buy a codicil to their insurance. You'd have to buy an extra plan to cover pregnancy. But there was a catch. You had to buy the extra plan over 3 months before you got pregnant. If you got pregnant within if you got pregnant and didn't buy the extra plan, no coverage for you for your pregnancy and your birth, which is very expensive in this country. If you buy the plan and you get pregnant sometime in the next 3 months, no coverage. They want you to buy the plan when you're not planning on having kids. And then, but again, having a baby. This was America. This was before Obamacare. My sister had this happen. She was terrified. They thought they got pregnant within the 3-month window, and they were like, "Oh my God, what do we do? Like, the baby's not gonna be covered." Insane, absolutely insane. The stuff they used to do. Horrible. Our insurance coverage, it's better. It's expensive. It's always been expensive, but the coverage was horrific before. Absolutely horrific. Yeah, I mean, everyone's now talking about all the stuff they had. Yeah. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Anyway, very, very bad. What? Oh, thank you. I saw that. Was that the popcorn? Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate that. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Well, correct. Because that's a very good point. The so-called pro-life party, because what do you think it does to couples that get pregnant within the 90-day period that the insurance won't cover your pregnancy? If you don't have money and you find out this baby's going to cost you $50,000, do you keep the baby? I mean, that's a really serious topic. And the Republican Party was forcing women to make that choice, which typically Republicans claim they don't want women to make that choice, right? Very scary stuff. No, you are very lucky in the UK. Americans like to complain about what Europeans have, but before Obamacare, my God, our coverage was awful before Obamacare. No, it's very upsetting to me. Because like I said, it'll probably cost me, I guarantee you, this Trump bill is going to probably cost me $2,000 to $4,000 probably a year because of them cutting the Obamacare subsidies. My insurance under Obamacare cost me $1,530 a month, more or less, the price of my insurance. Then I pay additional under the insurance. I have to pay an additional $3,000 a year in benefits. Then it's free. So that's 1,500 times 12 is 15,000, 18,000, 20,000 a year, 21,000 a year. I will have to pay for healthcare, and then my healthcare is free for the year after 21,000 for the year. 20,000 a year. I don't make that much money. I mean, thank you, Hellianne. And Obamacare, fortunately, has subsidies to help with that. But it's insane. And by the way, it's only going to go up. Once I'm 65, then I can go on Medicare. My insurance will probably, I think, guaranteed, before I go on Medicare, my insurance will be $2,000 a month. I guarantee you it'll be $2,000 a month. Insane. Absolutely insane. But Republicans might do well in the election. Look, everybody knew this was coming. They said they were going to gut Obamacare. They said we knew they were going to gut Medicaid. I mean, people didn't care. It's like, okay. I mean, at some point it is the face eating tiger meme. Well, I afford it because Obamacare has subsidies. Thank God. I didn't know about the subsidies. I wasn't getting the subsidies for a number of years because I didn't know about because my accountant was such an idiot. I didn't even know about the subsidies. So I was paying $1,200. I was paying $12,000 to $14,000 a year for my health insurance and had no idea there were government benefits to help me pay for it. No idea. And then a couple of years ago, doing my own insurance, I went, holy crap. Are you kidding me? So yeah, really horrible. Really horrible. And Medicare, I mean, honestly, Medicare is bad. I mean, Medicare is our healthcare program for the elderly, seniors. And I remember initially looking at it with my mother, and I was like, I'm so confused. And I'm a lawyer, and my mom was, 85, and she's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to figure it out? And they've got stuff like you can get this extra plan that doesn't cost any extra. And I'm asking the guy, and I'm like, okay, if this extra plan covers more, but it doesn't cost more, why wouldn't everybody have the extra, the Medicare Advantage, right? Why wouldn't everybody get the extra plan? He goes, I don't know. I said, well, you must know. Think is Murph. I was trying to, because there's, brokers that help you buy this stuff. And I was trying to nicely say, there's something you're not telling us, because why would there even be a basic plan and a better plan, and the better plan costs the same as the basic plan? Excuse me? Right? Like, you could have moldy fruit or you could have ripe fruit, but we're charging the same for the ripe fruit and the moldy fruit, right? And that's what I kept saying to him. What's the difference? What's the downside? There is no downside. I said, bullshit. Of course there's a downside. I mean, I don't want to get into it now because it was so confusing, but it was just, yeah, absolutely crazy. So I'm not looking forward. I mean, I'm looking forward to Medicare in the sense of, for me, it'll be cheaper. That's for sure. But no dental. I don't have dental now anyway, so I'm sure it's going to be better than $2,000 a month, which is what I'm going to be paying in a couple of years. So thank you, Courtney. But it blows my mind. Once again, these stupid Republicans are costing me money with their bill that's going to take away a lot of my Obamacare subsidies. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, deductibles and copays. Yeah, again, it's way too complicated. Social Security, I mean, supposedly 2033, whatever. ChatGPT can guide you through Medicare. I think I'd asked ChatGPT. I mean, I don't need it yet, so I didn't want to go through too much of it. But I remember she's hiding somewhere. I heard the whine. The dog is hiding somewhere. I'm trying to see where she is. I'm like, stop, please. Cut it out. Anyway, I didn't mean to get into a whole Medicare discussion, but yeah, ChatGPT, not a terrible idea. Not a terrible idea. Follow the policies that they vote for. I don't know what that means, Jace. People follow the policies that they vote for. Write that again. I think you didn't write that the way you got a typo or something in it. I didn't know how fortunate I was to retire with my federal employee health plan. Oh yeah. Deducted from your pension forever. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah. That's very nice. Yeah. No, I'm not looking. I mean, I'm looking forward to Medicare, but I'm not in the sense of like trying to figure this stuff out. Oh, it's very confusing. Quiet. What? Oh, you want more? You don't want water. I see you're looking away again. I know. No, it's crazy. I mean, we shall see. Hey, stop it. Hi, stop. All right. Please stop. Oh man. Ow. Like I said, finger again. Finger is definitely feeling tight today, but I just don't want to mess with it after yesterday. It really hurt yesterday. Callum said, stretch it a little. So I'm stretching the finger a little today, not to do anything crazy. Greek passport's going to take a while. So I was talking to one guy today. He applied in 2008 and it looks like this year he might be getting his passport. I was like, 2008? I was like, oh God. Other people applied last August and they haven't gotten confirmation of their application yet. So I'm kind of like, this could be a process. We'll see. You never know. We'll never know. Cutting aid to Ukraine is a very good thing if you're Russian. Yes. If you like dictatorships, yes. If you like empowering America's enemies, yes. If you like war in Europe, yes. That was probably a good move, Ash. Yes. 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 Anyway. Oh, stretching my finger a little here. Oh, they're not going to feel it till after Christmas. Correct. Oh yeah, before Obamacare too. We've talked about this before. Before Obamacare, I bought the best self-employed insurance I could get because I work for myself, right? I bought the best insurance I could buy. My best insurance I could buy covered $1,200 in medicine a year. Happy birthday, Sister Lana Rodeo. Okay, happy birthday, Sister Lana Rodeo. That's like I was like looking for a Simpsons joke in there. He's gonna have me say, or she's gonna have me say something that's embarrassing. I was like, Lana Rodeo, I think is okay. But before Obamacare, my insurance, best insurance I could buy, covered $1,200 a year in medicine, and that's it. $1,200. That's it. More than $1,200, I had to pay my own. You know how much medicine costs in this country, right? My asthma medicine, $350 a month for one drug, for Advair, Serotin. All of my asthma medicine combined was around $550 to $600 a month. Literally within 2 months, 2 to 2.5 months, I would run out of insurance for my prescription drugs. That was it. I'd run after about 2.5 months, my insurance would run out, and the rest of the year, okay, 9.5 months, I would have to pay for all my prescriptions myself because my insurance wouldn't cover any of it. I mean, insane, absolutely insane. And I would go to France and I'd buy my prescriptions and I'd bring them back for the year. And I would just, every summer I'd go to France and I would buy a year's worth of prescriptions and bring them back. With Obamacare, there's no limit. That's one of the things. Obamacare doesn't cut off. With Obamacare, it's, I use the gold plan, not the platinum. And, the prices are okay. There's no limit. People in America, people didn't know this. 40% of Americans had healthcare plans with annual limits. Prescription drugs like I had, they also had annual limits on other healthcare. You could only spend a certain amount every year. People with cancer would hit their limit so that at a certain point in the year, the insurance company wouldn't cover your cancer until January 1st. What would happen, the insurance plans before Obamacare also had lifetime maximum limits. Exactly what Joshua and Poppy just said. Lifetime maximum, meaning, and typically it was like 2 million or something like that. I see what you're saying, Helen. Thanks. Like 2 million or something. And once you've spent $2 million, your insurance policy ended and you got no more coverage. People with cancer would max out their insurance policies because this is America. It's expensive. And literally they would max out their insurance. And by the way, no one else is giving you insurance if you have cancer, right? Before Obamacare. And and then you died. That's the way it was. I mean, this is what America's healthcare system was before Obamacare. And at that point, I literally would move to Canada at that point. I would just say, if they'd let me, I would emigrate to Canada and say, you know what do you do? Before Obamacare, people were dying. Yeah. No, it's really crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yes, Pingu, that was I don't think there's anything new to that story. There was a story that broke about a year and a half ago about a lot of MAGA influencers who were being paid by the Russians, and via an intermediary, the MAGA influencers claimed they didn't know they were being paid by the Russians, but the Russians were dropping massive amounts of money on these guys monthly, like massive amount. I mean, I'm forgetting the amounts. It was crazy what they were paying them. Tens of thousands of dollars a video. I mean, crazy amounts. And these guys were like, woo, somebody wants to pay me, to do a lot of money to do videos, 100,000 a video. Yeah. And it was like, okay, why not? So, that's what they got. Oops. Oh shit. Hold on. I'm trying to verify there we go. It was doing the you're a real person verification thing on the screen. I got it wrong. We'd have a fake, exactly, Ben. We'd get married. Thank you. I'd be Mr. Ben Madsen. Well, seriously though, it's scary. It's scary stuff. Yeah. No, the healthcare stuff in this country, Sasha, stop. Come on. But again, she's looking away from the water bowl, which means she wants water. When you worked in the Senate, which important bill that you and the senator you worked for supported and passed? Well, I mean, the one I was sort of most proud of was when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait the first time. He took a bunch of Americans hostage, and we passed legislation, which I got to write and pass, basically, that provided health and what was the other one? Healthcare benefits and I think salary benefits to the American hostages in Iraq, because Saddam took like he took a couple dozen or maybe 100 people, Americans, hostage as human shields. He was going to put them at facilities around the country so that if we bombed the facilities, we'd bomb our own citizens. And we gave them health care and maybe even a salary, I think. I don't remember what the salary, what it was. But they basically got added onto the federal benefits program, which was very cool. I thought it was kind of neat, to basically help them out when they got here if they didn't have jobs and things. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, meaning legislatively, it was a lot of fun getting it passed. But I did not do a lot of legislation. I did arms control, but that wasn't really legislation. I did a lot of transportation policy. that was dealing with legislation, but it was fixing problems and bills that would affect Alaska. It wasn't like passing big bills. Friends of mine, hello, I hear you. Hi, I know, I hear you. Friends of mine in Senator Kennedy's office, they were the ones that passed the big cool bills, $5 billion child care bills, things like that. Hey, Rebecca, Minnesota. Thank you, Justa, Canadian, I know. Well, hopefully I'll be Greek. Hopefully I won't need to become Canadian. I'll just become Greek. We're working on that, trying to get my passport. Going to call the embassy tomorrow, try to schedule a meeting, and hopefully it won't take forever, but we shall see. So anyway, go back to Scotland. Yeah, could do worse than Scotland. That's right. Canada might become America. Oh God, you guys! I mean, I can't even imagine what you guys would go through with our insurance after what you've had. Thank you, Deep Blue. I mean, horrible. Our healthcare compared to what you've got. Oof, man. Exactly. Anyway, are you coming back in? Want to go out? You want to go in? Come on. You want to go out? You want to go in? All right, guys. I think we're gonna call it quits here. I'm getting marriage proposals to Europe. Thank you. Ben and Justa can just fight it out. Anyway. All right. Yep. I will see you all tomorrow. We'll call it quits. 6:00 Eastern time, US, my usual. We'll talk about the latest news from America, the latest news from Ukraine, the latest news from Ukraine. And anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. And I will see you all mañana evening, 6:00 Washington or New York City time. Okay. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. All right. There we go. All right. Bye, Discord. A few more of you there tonight. Boom. Okay. Discord. YouTube. Oh, I didn't hide the YouTube screen, but it looks like the connection actually worked well tonight. Funny. I forgot I was going to shrink the screen because it helps with the connection, but it actually was being okay, even though my computer was being so slow. That's good to hear. And then TikTok. Thanks, guys.